Hello, James Williams, Director of Programs with MEF again, and a fantastic session from Kostas, and before that, Andy Gladwin. And so you can see what we're doing here. We're building, putting blocks together and culminating in some sessions which really bring about every single angle you can think of in conversational commerce, omni-channel marketing, mobile messaging, call it whatever you want. Now, before I introduce the participants for this session, those of you who are a little bit older, and actually the game still exists, you think of Top Trumps. Remember that game where you had the cards and it could be planes, it could be cars, what's the fastest, what's the longest, what's the widest, etc., etc. Well, I loved that game when it came to commercial planes. My favorite was the Boeing 747 SP. Look that up on Google. So that was my favorite, and that was Top Trumps. Now, moving it into the world of business messaging, and if you were to play the game of Top Trumps with mobile engagement channels, we're hearing from Kostas just before about the power of SMS, but actually the real power is when you combine channels. And never has there been a greater need to be able to impact the majority of people as fast as possible in times of great need, whether it be a natural disaster or, unfortunately, as the majority of the world has experienced in the past 15 months plus, the world of COVID-19 and the pandemic. And companies out there have been looking for the best ways of engaging with people as fast as possible, but not just companies, governments and non-governmental organizations. And it therefore gives me great pleasure to welcome Kerstin Trikalitis, who is the CEO and founder of Out There Media. Kerstin, hi, great that you could join me.
Hi, James, great to be here. It's a big, big honor. Thank you.
No problem. And also at the same time, let's have Andy Pattison, who is the team lead digital channels from the World Health Organization. Andy, hi.
Hello, James. Thanks very much for the invitation. Nice to be here today.
No, lovely to see you both here. Kerstin, could you just give us a quick introduction as to who you are, what Out There Media is, but beyond that as well, you have the brand Out There Impact, which is the really relevant bit of what you are doing with the World Health Organization.
Thanks, James. I'm the CEO and one of the founders of Out There Media. At Out There Media, we focus on bridging the gap between mobile operators and advertisers or any organization that wants to reach the right person with the right message at the right time via our technology, Movax in the middle. Now, we've done this for the last 10 years and have created Out There Impact last year to use whatever we have built and our technology for the greater good, for our impact projects, working with organizations such as the World Health Organization, right? We're going to hear about that in a minute, but also the United Nations and others. So that's how Out There Media and Out There Impact work together.
Fantastic. Thank you. Andy, over to you. Now, lots of people have heard about the World Health Organization, but just give us a few stats about who and what exactly you do.
So my job is to get more health messages into more people's lives through more channels. And I was very excited to get a call about a year ago, I guess, Kerstin, right, where we decided that it would be a great channel to be able to use both RCS and SMS messages to reach people very quickly, literally in the palms of their hands. We want to get more health messages into people's lives so that they can make better health decisions, live healthier lives, and of course, during the pandemic, save as many lives as possible and bring the pandemic to an end as quickly as possible.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all about that, but it's not just about the pandemic. It could be absolutely anything, just generally spreading information about how to live a healthier life. It's very, very general. And just rolling in Top Trumps. Andy, did you play Top Trumps when you were younger?
I did. Maybe it's showing my age, but yes, I did, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I was much.
Kerstin, I don't know about you, but Top Trumps. But anyway, but when it comes to
mobile, I don't know that one.
No, but when it comes to mobile engagement, Top Trumps, SMS is there, but RCS in many applications and use cases that tops SMS. So that is really king of the hill and top trump when it comes to mobile engagement. And this initiative between the two of you, it's a free initiative out there with Out There Media. And I remember seeing the press release. I think it came out the 16th. There was a press release, 16th of December 2020, I saw about that. coming out. So your corporation has been around for many months, and coming up now, we're going to have a little video just looking at that corporation, how it works, and what exactly the two of you are doing together. So Sam and the back team crew, make it so. Thank you.
The COVID-19 pandemic has been and continues to be a global emergency, and we are still fighting to prevent the spread of the virus and save lives. In December 2020, Out There Impact, the Impact division of Out There Media, committed to using the power of mobile technology for the greater good, joined forces with the World Health Organization to launch a global mobile education campaign to contain the spread of COVID-19. We are helping the World Health Organization in this ongoing fight, utilizing our technology to provide global citizens with accurate and timely information delivered directly onto their mobile phones. Our large-scale campaign leverages interactive and actionable mobile messaging, specifically RCS, Rich Communication Services, but also messages with link to landing pages, as well as system notifications to send information on staying safe to 300 million citizens. The customers of 15 of our mobile operator partners in Europe, Africa, and Asia. The Pro Bono campaign, Reduce Your Risk of Being Infected with COVID-19, Help Prevent the Spread, offers a feature-packed experience including RCS chatbots, rich media, videos containing life-saving information with tips and advice on how to stay safe. RCS provides for rich messaging experience with amazing features such as verified sender, brand safety, rich media chatbots, interacting and suggesting client actions without the user having to leave their native messaging app on their phone. The campaign is ongoing, and so far we have achieved spectacular results, with read rates of up to 96% and engagement rates of 46%. In addition, the number of people that replied yes to the question whether they want to stay in touch with the WHO reached 40%. The results of the campaign for citizens who do not have RCS enabled and thus received the campaign via messaging and system notifications were equally outstanding, with 6% average click-through rate, which is 60 times better than industry benchmark. To date, our campaign has already reached over 150 million citizens. And as we continue our ongoing effort to prevent the spread of the virus, our aim is to distribute messages to 300 million global users later this year, out of our total addressable audience of 1.5 billion users, via our Mobox technology and our operator partners across the globe. Life-saving information has to reach everyone without exception. A global pandemic calls for global action.
At WHO, we're using the power of mobile to stop the spread of COVID-19. We teamed up with Out There Impact to create a mobile campaign where we share the latest tips on how to lower your risks of COVID-19 infection. 15 mobile operators agreed to send educational notifications, which include rich media and chatbots, as well as SMS text messages, to mobile phones across Europe, Africa, and Asia. So far, together, we've reached almost 200 million people. When people have access to reliable health information literally in the palms of their hands, they are empowered to make better health decisions that not only protect themselves, but also keep the global community safe.
I think we get a very, very good idea of what that partnership is all about. But Andy, you must get calls from so many companies in your position with such a global organization. You're going to get calls from so many different companies around the world. What made you sit up and think, do you know what, this one is a little bit different. We can do something with Out There Media and then ultimately Out There Impact?
for me, it's very exciting to hear the RCS angle where we could reach the hyper-connected people on the planet. And hyper-connected people we define as people who have access to the internet through a laptop or a smartphone. And those are people, you know, with 50% of the world's population already connected to the internet. That's every walk of life. Every country in the world is hyper-connected. So with RCS Communications, we can reach those people in an innovative way. I think everybody understands that COVID fatigue is here, also in the communication side of it. We're sick of the disease, but we're sick of hearing the same things over and over again. So at WHO, we have to innovate in the way that we deliver those messages and surprise people. And as I said, literally turning up in the palm of their hands and gaining their attention straight away. There's a lot of noise out there. We need to be able to be heard. And that's why, for me, with the RCS angle, reaching those populations, but also the SMS angle, reaching people with a feature phone with life-saving text messages is equally important. I think in the digital age, we often forget the people who are not fully connected or only connected through a feature phone. So from a public health point of view, SMS is extremely a great way to reach vulnerable populations.
Fantastic. Let's turn it around. Kerstin, what made you pick up your phone and go, do you know what? I'm going to call the WHO because we've got something we can do here involving not just RCS, but mobile messaging as a whole.
Thanks, James. That was exactly the way it went. We thought to ourselves in the beginning of the pandemic, it's now April last year, or in the beginning of lockdowns, that life-saving information has to reach everyone. And messaging is the most direct and universal medium. And so we said, whoa, if we were to team up, let's give Andy a call. If we were to team up, we could get that information out to everybody, regardless of their age, their gender, their phone type, or their location. And that's what we did. And Andy immediately, I remember it as if it were today, immediately said, oh my God, this is one of the best things I've ever heard. And we were so motivated, and that's when we started to rally around our mobile network operator partners and get them on board.
I was about to, now you beat me to it, Kerstin, because I was about to actually say, how do you get that at such a massive scale? Because when you're talking to an organization like the World Health Organization, we're not just talking about reaching 10,000 people or 50,000 people. You're talking about reaching hundreds of people. So how do you ensure such a massive scale to your solution?
So our platform, Movax is the brand of our platform, is connected to some of the largest mobile operators in the world. And that means, the mobile operator always has the biggest scale and the biggest reach in a country, much bigger than any other medium, digital or analog, in a country. So operators have that scale. And by teaming up with the operators and connecting our technology to them, that is how we create scale. Now, via those partnerships, via those mobile operators is how we created that scale, got them on board. And I want to give a special thanks here to Vodafone, MTN, Vodacom, 9mobile, O2 Telefonica, Orange, as well as Ooredoo Indosat, who immediately understood that this is exactly what the world is calling for right now. And they joined because everybody was working and is still working pro bono for this project. And so Fantastic. That's enormously important. And one more thing. So as you heard, the campaign is still ongoing. To date, we have reached approximately 200 million people, and we're going to hit the 300 million mark in the next month or so. And yeah, I'm going to talk about the formats and why it was so engaging in a little while. But that's kind of it in a nutshell. And it is the largest COVID-19 campaign to date that uses mobile messaging.
No problem, Kerstin. Andy, a quick one. So misinformation is probably one of the number one thing around COVID. Just think about telecoms, people being told, oh, 5G cell towers, you're going to get COVID if you live close to them. So this misinformation is a big, big thing. And you touched on education. What were the specific challenges that you had to overcome?
I think it's what you've just mentioned there, James. It's the infodemic that we're suffering now. There's more information now than we've ever had before in human history. Every human has access to so much information. The difficulty is figuring out which is the right information, which is based on science, which is, this is not about WHO. This is about public health interventions and saving lives, and also about the protection of science. We've seen in the last year and a half, the science has been eroded. So it's really important that we go and support scientific community, doctors, health ministries, and governments in getting these messages out with a single voice based on science and showing where the evidence comes from. It's a huge issue for us, misinformation. Half of my life is spent raising good content because misinformation thrives in a vacuum. The other half is spent fighting misinformation and working with social media platforms and large digital agencies to bring down content that could spread harm and cause people to lose their lives.
Now, Andy and Kerstin, we're coming up fairly soon to the close in the next couple of minutes, but really my last point is, where do you go from here? Where do you both go from here? What's planned? What campaigns are planned? And what's down the line?
So from my point of view, the World Health Organization is using everything we're doing in COVID as a catalyst for change. What we're doing now with pilots, what we're doing now with huge campaigns like we are with Out There Media, is to see how we can then transform this into the future and use this to get health messages on different topics, whether it's other emergencies, as you mentioned, earthquakes or things like that, but also health messaging around the big killers in life. How do we deal with heart disease, lung disease, obesity, diabetes, tuberculosis, some of the biggest, cancer, some of the biggest killers on the planet? We need to transform what we're doing now, create a blueprint of what we've achieved, look back of what's been successful, document this in peer-reviewed papers, and leave the world a legacy of this is how you can reach populations with this type of messaging, and this is the engagement rate you could get, and therefore the behavior change that could be expected after that. Thank you, Andy. And closing remarks from you, Kerstin. Your take on what's your plan?
Well, thank you so much, Andy. We are completely and entirely committed to our partnership with the World Health Organization. As Andy said, we have now put a structure, we've set up the structure for all of that and can react to any emergency immediately, but also proactively reach out with the right information on any health issue to citizens across the globe. And that is so important. That combination of scale and targeting, and then using the right formats like RCS for the high-end smartphones, SMS with link, system notifications for any other smartphone that does not have RCS enabled, or any feature phone. That kind of combination gives us that blueprint for our annual agenda, for supporting the WHO in their annual agenda. I think one last sentence, you saw that in the video, 40%, so on the engagement rates and 96% read rates and then 46% engagement rates, but the most important fact here is that 40% of all people that interacted with our campaign, either via RCS or SMS or system notification, responded and opted in to receiving, 40% opted into receiving further information from the WHO. A 40% opt-in rate.
Kerstin, that is absolutely huge, and that for me is absolutely key. And what COVID has done, we've seen this throughout the rest of our digital transformation event here at MEF, is companies, organizations have had to react at speed like never before. And they've created frameworks, mechanisms, processes, which now anything that comes along in the future at scale will all be able to deal with. So Andy, thank you very much for joining us from Geneva, I think you are at the moment. Yes, that's right. Thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you very much. And Kerstin, thank you indeed to you and the Out There Media team. And it's a pleasure having both of you here on the show. Thank you. Goodbye. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.